Welcome, everyone, to downtown Utica, Michigan. Jeremy Otto alongside Brendan Shabat to bring you the call here today from Jimmy John's Field. It's the visiting Eastside Diamond Hoppers and the home Westside Woolly Mammoths here today. Another sunny day in downtown Utica. Well, we welcome you all watching in the stadium here today. Reminder, you can watch all the public games on Facebook, YouTube, and My Michigan TV as well. This is also the My Michigan TV pregame show on the USPBL network. We welcome all our audience watching at home as well. Well, an interesting game yesterday. It was a pitcher's duel for a little while, and then the Unicorns really able to open up the game late against, a guy that you wouldn't expect to give up all those runs.
Yeah, I mean, Derek Eddington has been really good this year. He had a tough fifth inning, and then Mike DeSanti, like you mentioned, 6 runs in the 8th. It was a 5-1 game going into there. I think Ryan Kotke and John Dombrowski kind of had the idea that, hey, DeSanti's been a lights-out closer for us. Let's send him out there to get 6 outs, 3 up, 3 down in both innings, hopefully, and maybe something works for us in the bottom of the 8th or the 9th and we can get back in this game. Only trailing by 4 for a lineup like the Hoppers, that's not a huge deficit to overcome. We've seen them have big innings before, but just an uncharacteristic inning for DeSanti. He walked 3, gave up 6. Just couldn't find the strike zone. The velocity and everything was there. A lot of the numbers, other than balls and strikes, were pretty similar to everything else he's done this year. And I think that's one thing we're seeing is once guys get the certain number of appearances, innings pitched, at-bats, whatever it is, we're going to see a slump. We're going to see a bad inning, a bad outing here or there. We've seen it from every single guy this year, and the best guys are no different. And DeSanti was just the latest victim, and it was a tough day for him and for the Hoppers. They only had the 1 home run from Schellenbarger, and other than that, they were leaving guys on the bases, not getting 2-out hits, kind of been the biggest struggles they've had all year, and you're just going to lose ball games when that happens.
Well, it does certainly present an interesting situation here today in terms of the pitchers that they're able to use. Tomorrow, the last day of USPBL baseball publicly, so the Hoppers won't play, but they played the other day as well in the non-public, so not a lot of arms to navigate right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you go by the standard of, hey, this guy threw this week, we're not going to have him throw in this game. They've got 2 guys. They've got their starter, Andrew Verbrugge, and Harry Orth. Carson Ferry threw 2 last night. Luke Drummond as well. DeSanti had the long 8th inning, faced 9 batters, excuse me. So I'm not sure what Ryan Kotke and John Dombrowski are going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to send Ferry out there for maybe an inning. Drummond probably goes an inning 2 if they need it. I think the plan, though, is Andrew Verbrugge's been our best guy the past month. He's been the guy who has really gotten us some of these quality wins. He's really turned things around. He started slow. Now he's where we knew he could be. That ERA is dropping. I think the plan is to get Andrew to go 5, 6, 7 innings strong today, less than 3 or 4 runs, and keep their offense in it, and hopefully then they can kind of lean on the bullpen for the last 3 or 4 innings to get out of it. But it's going to be difficult when you're just so limited with the arms right now.
He's the first part of your pitcher comparison brought to you by Ascension each and every day here in the USPBL network. The other guy is the guy who hasn't made a lot of starts necessarily this year, but he's been fun to watch.
Yeah, Colin Ledbetter made his first start this year, his second professional start last weekend in the doubleheader against these Hoppers in Game 2. And it was fun to watch. You could tell he is not used to being a starter. There were some slow starts, and there were some interesting at-bats and stuff like that. But he did get a couple strikeouts. He went, I think, 4 complete in a 6-inning game is really good. That's exactly what you want. That's why you have him going out there in Game 2. And he battled through some adversity. We had some mound issues in between Games 1 and 2, and he slipped on the mound. It gave him a balk. It advanced the runner to second. That run would eventually score, and it was an unearned run. And it was the only run he gave up. Other than that, his team won 7-1. And he was able to pick up the win, and it was a good game from him. And like I said, you could tell he wasn't quite totally comfortable starting, but it sounds like he's going to have to move into that role moving forward, and his numbers have been great. He's been lights out. We've called him Colin Slip and Slide Ledbetter, and that slider has been one of the most fun single pitches in the entire league to watch this year. We obviously remember the day, 7 strikeouts, and I believe it was 3 innings, and he I think threw 2 balls in those 7 batters. So that he's a very fun guy to watch. He can be lights out when he's on, and he's still going to be good at worst when he's not.
No doubt about it. It'll be fun to watch him start his second here today as well. As for Brian Leaf, we talked about him a little bit in the broadcast yesterday. You'll see the starting lineups. He is in them in a little bit here on the broadcast and in the stadium as well. But he's the guy that pounds the ball in BP, just kind of a different sound off his bat. Hasn't had a huge chance to show it here at the professional level. Has been playing behind, some AA and AAA guys in other leagues, and here getting more of an everyday chance. But he's the guy who's now hit 2 home runs. You're on the call for one of them. Had another one in the non-public that nearly cleared the scoreboard in left center field. This is a guy we're excited to watch, and it's a shame we couldn't have seen him in the home run derby.
Yeah, and I think the trend that we're seeing is, why wasn't this guy in the home run derby? Because when he hits these home runs, for the one that I saw in the public game and then the one that was reported to us in the non-public that neither you or I were at, they're no doubters. As soon as they hit the bat, they are gone, and you can tell. And that's kind of what we have discerned from guys who hit the ball as hard as he does in batting practice, that when they catch one in a live game, you know it, and you know it's out of here. We've seen that from guys like Dakota McFadden this year, Yadi Rivera for the Hoppers, Kreitzer has done that a little bit, obviously Ari Sakopoulos. When they catch it really good, it's a sweet sound, it's a lot of exit velocity, good launch angle, and Leaf is one of those guys. I think the big thing for him is he needs to have a big game. I think it was important for him to get the first home run out of the way. He did have 4 strikeouts in that same game after that when he got his first one. So I think he needs a game where maybe he gets a home run and then 2 or 3 more hits, or maybe it's just three hits, 2 doubles, and a single. I think he needs a big game with multiple hits to maybe break out of this slow start that we've seen a lot of guys do, and he shouldn't be ashamed of it, and he shouldn't be too frustrated. Every guy that has come here has really had a few games once they first gotten here to get their sea legs under them and kind of get used to baseball here at Jimmy John's Field. And I think Leaf is no different. We're seeing that he's on the right path. He just needs a big game to break through, and I think there's a chance he gets it tonight.
Well, we saw the ball fly earlier yesterday, and it was flying to the non-publics. We'll see if the same is true by first pitch here today. It always changes, it seems. When you talk about it, the next second it changes. So we'll see what happens.
Wind was busy yesterday in batting practice and stayed throughout the game. It wasn't a huge factor in our game as far as offense went. As we mentioned, it was dominated by the Unicorns, but not a lot of home runs. But we'll see what it does today. Again, very windy, as you can, I'm sure, see. But yeah, it always adds excitement and fun, especially when those lefties get up. We've got a couple lefties in the lineup today.
Well, here on the broadcast in our My Michigan TV pregame show, we'll have your starting lineups next, along with Brendan's keys to the game. For everybody in the stadium, enjoy the fireworks after the game and the great game of baseball coming up shortly.
How do these business owners find the time for peace of mind? Because they rely on Tryon to handle difficult and time-consuming HR tasks like payroll, benefits administration, and more. Working with Tryon, one of the nation's top professional employer organizations, provides access to top-tier health care and employee benefit plans and its team of attorneys and HR experts. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
Welcome back to Jimmy John's Field, everyone. Jeremy Otto back alongside Brendan Shabat to bring the call here today. Getting ready for Mammoths and Hoppers today on a hot and humid night for baseball. The following broadcast is sponsored by Get to those sponsors in a minute. A little malfunction on our side, but time for Brendan's keys to the game. What do you think here today?
Well, actually, this is, we've joked about it before, but a serious aspect of today's game is going to be the heat. And the Mammoths are in all white uniforms, and the Hoppers do wear the blacks, which is going to add a little bit of a challenge. Also, the Hoppers, having played yesterday, may be a little bit more tired than the Mammoths, who did not play yesterday. So we'll see how hydrated they can stay and how well they can keep their focus and fight through the heat. And I think another big thing, kind of piggybacking off that, is how deep Andrew Verbrugge can go. He's going to be the hardest worker today for the Hoppers. If they are going to pick up a win, he needs to go 5, 6, or 7 strong. For the Diamond Hoppers, we talked about their limited arms out of the pen. They need a good day from him. The Mammoths just have, as far as the jerseys go and the weather and the day off yesterday, a little bit more of an advantage as we start today's game.
All right, now let's check those sponsors here. Belfour Property Restoration, Ascension, Budweiser, DTE Energy, Fifth Third Bank, Jarpcom, Jimmy John's, Macomb Community College, McLaren Macomb, McQuaid Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Refrigeration, Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers, Pepsi, Scott's, and UWM. We thank all those fine partners for what they do for this league. Time to take a peek at your starting lineups for today's game. First, for the visiting Eastside Diamond Hoppers here today, Alex Pupp will lead things off and play shortstop. Blake Porter bats second and plays center. Yadi Rivera hitting in the 3-hole as he plays third. Joe Burke will clean things up and play first. Kreitzer, Schellenbarger, and Hughes in the middle. Noah Marcoux back in the lineup here today, 4 hits. In his last game, he'll play left field and bat 8. And Juan Lopez Rios will round things out and play second base with Verbrugge on the hill. As for the home Westside Woolly Mammoths, it's Tanner Thomas, who is a late scratch here today at the top of the lineup. Connor Bagneski now leading things off and playing center. Nick Caruso will bat second and catch. Wade Weinberger bats third and plays left. It's Parker, Leaf, and Brown in the middle of that order. Leaf and Brown have really started to turn it up here lately. Good to watch them along with Duncan Hewitt. He had a nice game the last time around as well. He's DHing, earns that spot. Buddy Dwayne will bat 8th and play short. Christian Perez was also a late substitution at the bottom of the lineup with Bagneski moving to the top. First pitch when we get back on the USPBL Network. Stick with us.
Slide into a new home. Work with a local mortgage pro who works for you. Get a cheaper, faster, easier home loan. Find a mortgage broker near you today at findamortgagebroker.com.
You hear about the promo that Jimmy's John's got going on? 5 off 20? How they pulling it off? Magic? You got David's Copperfields in there? Show yourself, Copperfields!
Jimmy John's. $5 off orders of 20 or more.
Welcome back to Jimmy John's Field, everyone. Just about underway here in this Friday matchup today. Fireworks to conclude the action as always. Second public day of this USPBL week. We'll have one more tomorrow, capping off with a doubleheader. But there's a look at Colin Ledbetter making his second start here tonight.
Just 2 earned runs for Colin this season, 5 total. Given up 8 walks to 29 strikeouts. Really can't say enough about how good the numbers have looked, and we'll get another opportunity to see him start on the bump. Only his 3rd professional start today. It's going against a very tough Hoppers lineup who is kind of hungry for a win, hungry for a big offensive day in the plate. But lefties, this is a lefty-heavy lineup, are hitting just 161 against Ledbetter this year, so he does have a bit of an advantage there coming from the right side to the lefties.
Alex Pup, Blake Porter, and Yadi Rivera to lead things off here in the first inning. Check the defense behind Ledbetter here today, brought to you by Three Dimensional Services Group. It's Weinberger in left, Thomas in center, Leaf in right, Parker and Brown on the corners with Bagneski and Dwayne completing your double play combination here today. Caruso behind the plate for the Mammoths here tonight. So here's Alex Pup moving his way into the box. Second consecutive day that these Hoppers have played. Also played the non-public on Tuesday.
Going to be another shadow infected first couple innings. Should pose an advantage for these pitchers on the bump. We've heard from some of the hitters that it really is a tough thing to deal with in the first few innings with that sun shining through that third base line.
First pitch at 7:03 is high. John, grab your public address announcer saying temperature at game time 32 degrees and a long pause Celsius. Sounds a little, it doesn't sound better, I wouldn't say, but
colder, which is what we're looking for. Not exactly that cold.
90 degrees Fahrenheit with a little bit of a breeze.
An American flag out there, similar to yesterday.
2-0 off the end of the bat. 2-1 here on Pup. That breeze is maybe saving the players a bit here in the early goings. We've heard, I didn't take in much batting practice here today, but we've heard that the field temp is very hot right now. Now the 2-1 from Ledbetter hit him. We saw quite a few hit batters last night, and we start with a hit batter here in the first inning.
Yeah, I think it was 3 hit batters total yesterday. Just kind of one of those days, not necessarily crowding the plate or anything, but righty on righty, Ledbetter likes to use that slider, and sometimes you don't quite catch it as well, grip it as tight, and that spin doesn't come in back into the plate.
This one popped up foul here by Blake Porter. Talked about him yesterday, one of the more consistent hitters in the USPBL this year. His average, even from yesterday, creeping up to 295. He was in the mid-280s before the game last night. Now the 0-1 high.
Yeah, Porter's just been really good this year. Slugging percentage just below 400. Doesn't have a ton of power, but just such a good, consistent hitter, just below 300.
1-1 is low, or high. 2-1 on Blake Porter.
I like that he's an aggressive hitter at the plate, is in the upper echelon of strikeouts in the league, but still double-digit walks. There aren't too many guys like that.
Ledbetter didn't even see Pup breaking from first base there. He's going to dive back in the end. The defense reacted, but Colin didn't see that until the last second. Waiting in the 2-1. Fastball at 91 in for strike 2. This is something to watch here early on. Obviously, you don't want to nitpick it too much here in the first inning, but the Hoppers had a lot of early base runners on that they could just not do anything with. 2-2, again, lifting back to the screen. I think it was 4 or 5 times in the game in total, which did go 9 innings in total, where they had at least 2 runners on base, some with 1 out, some with 2, but only able to cash in 1 run in total.
Yeah, they left 8 on total last night. That's been an issue that the managers, Ryan Kotke and John Dombrowski, have stressed to their team. Ryan Kotke quoted as saying, we're leaving a small village on the base paths, and you just can't do that. It's a pretty simple formula. Get runners on and then bring them around to score.
3-2 popped him up. It looks like it will be in play. Parker coming in. Off his glove, right to Ledbetter, right to Parker. My goodness. That for the first out.
I think Porter didn't realize he was safe either.
Was he heading back towards the dugout?
He was heading back to the dugout, and John Dombrowski woke him up. Quickly got back to the bag. Not too much damage done on the missed pop-up there. Essentially acts as a failed sacrifice bunt.
11 pitches already here in the first inning for Ledbetter. Something to definitely keep an eye on because he has relieved mostly this year. Made his first start the other day on Saturday. That was a 4-inning effort. Gave up 2 hits, a unearned run, 2 walks to 5 strikeouts. Against this very Hoppers team. Now the 1-0. Fastball high and away. 2-0 on Yadi Rivera. He's driven in 6 this year. He's shown some good plate discipline, though. His walks to strikeouts even. 2-0 pitch, a slider that slings in for strike 1. Sinker, slider, circle change for Colin Ledbetter. He's used that changeup very, very little, but we only have 1 start. You'd think that would evolve if he continues to start.
Yeah, he's been heavy on the fastball and sliders in his relief appearances, and that's what you typically expect coming out of the bullpen. You want some velocity from those arms, a little bit of movement. Has a hard slider that he's used a lot. Has to be a little bit more deliberate as a starter.
Good pitch to throw, but Caruso couldn't get a hand on it as Blake Porter had a good beat as well. He's now 6 for 6 this year in steals. That changeup is something that Ledbetter has been working on really since the offseason. Been a work in progress for him. Mostly relieved last year as well, so with the high velocity fastball that he's had, hasn't really needed to rely on that third pitch out of the bullpen. There's K number 1 as Rivera goes down, also out number 2 here in the first. Now Joe Burke makes his way back to the plate here. .217 average for Joe. Has included 7 extra base hits, pair of doubles, and 5 home runs to this point. First pitch to him is high. And fades in for strike one.
Burke, who's been in a little bit of a slump lately, certainly by his standards. Knows how much power he has, how good he can hit the ball.
Porter dancing off his second. The slider nearly hits Burke.
And maybe the slump plays a factor in him shaving his beard. He looks so different now. Looks 10 years younger, kept the mustache, but clean shaven around the jaw and the chin. Blake Porter was joking around, said we have to call him Joseph now. It's no longer Joe, it's Joseph.
More formal, 2-1 off the end of the bat. Not happy he missed that one. Fastball at 90 miles an hour. The fastball has been up to 93 this year. All his pitches have good, solid spin. Runner moving, 2-2 away. Slider as Porter will steal 6 and 7 in this same first inning.
I like that from Porter now. Ball in play is your friend if you're Joe Burke. Run can score on a misplay, an error, little bloop single.
Hung the slider a little bit, but Burke swings through it. The second K in a row for Colin Ledbetter. And the Hoppers once again stranding base runners here in the early goings of this one. Time for your Thrifty Florist sweetheart of the game here today, JJ. The field general has found someone in the stands here today to give away a nice bouquet, courtesy of Thrifty Florist over in section 101 here today. Thrifty Florist sponsors your sweetheart of the game each and every day on the USPBL network. Time for your Freaky Fast Facts presented by Jimmy John's here today. The human body is made up of roughly 37 trillion cells.
That's what I would have guessed, 37 trillion.
That's exactly how many
36
you
didn't
have,
seem like
yes.
enough. Yeah.
You have a 1 in 7 million chance of living beyond the age of 110. My great-grandma lived to 101, I believe.
We had a woman here last weekend, celebrated her birthday on the video board, 104.
Really? That's
yeah.
awesome. Number 3, only 2% of humans have green eyes. Well, not you.
No, not you either. We're not special.
It's the only time we look at each other's eyes. It's no more. We thank you for tuning in here on this Friday on the USPBL Network. Be sure you can comment on Facebook and YouTube. Also welcome the audience watching on My Michigan TV of late as well. They're the sponsor of our pregame show going forward as well. Here's a look at Andrew Verbrugge here today. Fastball, curveball, changeup, slider for Verbrugge.
Verbrugge has upped his ante in the past few starts, really turned it around lately. And that's really good to see from a guy who we expected to be really one of the best arms in the league by season start. You know, things looking in spring training and in practice and after the first week, we kind of thought, hey, don't sleep on Verbrugge. He could be quickly one of the best arms, and we've seen some guys leave, and he's kind of moved up the totem pole a little bit, and I wouldn't say it was a disappointment after about 4 or 5 appearances, but just not quite where we expected. And in the last 3 or 4, he's been really lights out for this Hoppers team, who was really looking to pick up a win. As they were at one point above 500. They had just gotten some new guys from the showcase. They had good energy. Looked like they were going to be one of the best teams in the league, compete with the Unicorns and the likes of the Beavers, and it just hasn't panned out the way they expected.
First pitch fastball away to Connor Bagneski.
One thing I like about Verbrugge, he's one of the pitchers who you can really see.
Fly ball to center field. Look out into the wind, but not as much wind as yesterday as Porter twists and turns and finds the right spot to be for out number 1.
But for Verbrugge, you can really see the proof is in the pudding. The mechanical changes he has made have resulted in better pitches and exactly what you're supposed to do. He didn't have a lot of depth on his breaking balls at the start of the year, didn't have as much movement, not tight spin. Since then has worked on pulling that chest up, being more straight up as he delivers that pitch, good posture, and that's added depth to those pitches, and it's gotten a lot of swing and misses in the past few games.
Posture is something both of us have to work on, right, during games?
Oh, I have horrible
just
posture.
Kind of subtly sinks down.
Yeah, you just never, you don't notice it until all of a sudden it's the 6th inning and your back is killing.
88-mile-an-hour fastball to Nick Caruso in for strike one. Defense pretty straight up and in their respective spots right now. Bases clear and 1 out. Here's the pitch. Lifts the curveball foul. Now the 1-2. Good location, good velocity. Good spoil, though, by Caruso.
Yeah, that's a tough pitch to catch up to, and he did a nice job, at least fighting.
Ooh. Nasty curveball. We saw the slider and the curveball on that at bat. Slider a little bit faster, as you'd expect. The curveball more 12-6 and loopy for his first strikeout tonight.
I love that mix combination from Verbrugge and Hughes working well together. They get Caruso sped up with the fastball. He has to fight it off to stay alive in the 1-2 count, and they follow it up with a nice curveball way off speed, and Caruso was way, and I mean way out in front.
Fastball bust him inside there as Wade takes ball one. 259 average for this lefty. Same pitch, same result. Further inside, 2-0 on Wade. Verbrugge likes to work quick. One of those guys that has good tempo. 2-0 swing and a miss. Check the defense quickly behind him. Brought to you by Three Dimensional Services Group. It's Marcoux, Porter, Schellenbarger in the outfield. Rivera and Burke on the corners. Lopez, Rios, and Pup up the middle with Hughes behind the dish. 2-1 fastball for strike two. Took a little off that time. Andrew looks pretty locked in right now, though. Here's the even pitch. Slider, or the curveball, I beg your pardon. Had Wade bailing to the other batter's box, but called for ball three.
You can see Hughes liked it too, and just with the pace that Verbrugge is going at, I like this decision by Weinberger. Step out of the box, adjust the gloves, take a little bit more time. Verbrugge was in a groove. He had the rhythm cooking.
Inside again. That was really his only problem in that at-bat. Certainly the first two pitches as well. Got himself down 2-0 as Wade coaxes a two-out walk. Here's Houston Parker now. Houston with a 254 average to this point. First pitch fastball in for strike one.
Parker's been one of the best guys with runners on, second in the league with 17 RBIs, and that was tied with Ari Sakopoulos before yesterday, who had an RBI double in that game in the win against the Hoppers.
Modest lead for Weinberger. He has speed. This one pumped up the middle. Pop reaches, throws, and Burke couldn't quite hold on at first.
Really tough play from everybody. That's hard hit up the middle. Not super hard, but tough enough where Pup's got to make that spinning, running play on the move, and I think he could have gone to second to get Weinberger, but he's in the top three in the league in steals. He has a lot of speed, hasn't been caught yet this year, so I don't mind the decision to go to first, and that's a tough stretch for Burke trying to scoop that ball and not let it get by with speed on the base paths. He at least was able to keep it in front, and it's not too much. Now 2 runners on, but still 2 outs for the Hoppers.
Fastball on the inner half as Leaf swings through it. 6 for 29 start for Leaf in the USPBL. Couple home runs, as we mentioned in the pregame show, in his last few games. Fastball tails away. There's a decent amount of swing and miss in the bat. 2 walks to 13 Ks, but when he makes contact, you don't want to look away. Here's the 0-2. Dotted the fastball, his best velocity-wise in this at-bat, but just outside. 1-2 now.
Yeah, despite Leaf being someone who has played professionally before, I think the plate discipline is something that just comes with more at-bats and more opportunities.
Curveball bends in for strike 3. Second strikeout of the inning for Verbrugge as he strands a couple 2-out base runners. Kreutzer, Schellenberger, and Hughes up when we get back.
I'm all in with HR and Organizational Development Council.
I'm all in with Marketing and Business Development Council.
I'm all in with Operations and Member Experience Council.
I'm all in with CEO Council.
I'm all in with Lending Council.
I'm all in with CFO Council.
I'm all in with Technology Council.
Our credit union is all in with CUNA Councils.
They call me Prospects. Since the day I was born as a diver's watch, the challengers of the world have taught me many things. Life is not a numbers game. It's about challenging ourselves. No matter what happens, just follow your heart. These pioneers drive our generation forward. Not by setting records, but by never giving up. Keep going forward. Prospects.
Available at Lucido Fine Jewelry.
Colin Ledbetter on the mound for his second inning of work. Both of these two pitchers seeing a little bit of traffic on the base pass in that first inning. Maybe a little bit more substantial for the Mammoths in the last half. Able to put together a little 2-out rally, but some good breaking balls by Verbrugge, using both the slider and the curveball to K, Caruso, and Leaf. First pitch to Kreutzer, outside. Another 1-0. Low as well. Fastball at 90 miles an hour there. Average fastball 91 for Colin. That may tick down 1 or 2 in his start here today. Being stretched out a little bit more as Kreutzer takes an uncomfortable swing at that one. Big time shift against Nick here. That's something they've been doing the last couple weeks. You have the second baseman Perez in short right field with Buddy Dwayne, the shortstop, also just to the right of the second base bag. Houston Parker, the third baseman, in between second and third. The 2-2, fastball high and away.
Yeah, you can count on your one hand the number of times Kreutzer has gone the opposite way this year. Taking a look at the spray chart and the numbers, makes sense why the shift is on.
Little looper into right field. That one's going to sink down for a base hit.
And even with the shift, sometimes good offense beats good defense, and that's exactly what that was from Kreutzer. Put it perfectly in the gap out in right center. Ball kind of hung up a little bit too, but almost exactly in between the center fielder and right fielder for a nice single.
Second inning brought to you by Budweiser. We thank Budweiser for their partnership with the USPBL this year. Schellenbarger whiffs and misses at that one. Kind of an interesting defensive alignment against him as well. Bagneski in general will play more shallower center field. So he is and off to the right side of the second base bag. They're way back and right with Leaf with the wind blowing out in that direction. He hit a home run well over the wall out there on the edge of the berm. The left fielder Weinberger kind of staying true to his gap as well.
Perez pretty deep in the hole at second as well. Schellenbarger hits the ball hard.
Tip that one into the glove for strike three. 3 Ks already for Colin Ledbetter here. Boy, might start to get in the Hoppers' head a little bit here if we see another inning where they get another leadoff base runner on and not able to do much with it. You could see him really trying to make something happen. I mean, Porter swiped 2 bags.
Pup was going to steal 2 after he reached on a hit by pitch and then got caught going a little bit too early. He was able to make it back, but then I think that kind of reined in his aggressiveness and the rest of Porter's at bat.
Hughes on the ground to Dwayne, flips to second in time over to first. Double play. 6-4-3 twin killing, and yet another leadoff base runner is stranded. Verbrugge comes back out in a 0-0 game in the bottom of the second when we get back.
Every summer, my family loves to have a neighborhood movie night in our backyard. And with my Chevy Blazer, I can head out and get everything we need for a great night. It has plenty of room for picking up friends, and the available hands-free liftgate is perfect for loading unhandy supplies. You know, it may be movie night, but my Blazer is the main attraction wherever I go.
Lease a 2022 Blazer 2LT for just $239 a month for 24 months. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Make your move with a quick and easy mortgage from Genesis Credit Union. We have mortgages to fit your life. Genesis Credit Union. Visit us today.
Slide into a new home. Work with a local mortgage pro who works for you. Get a cheaper, faster, easier home loan. Find a mortgage broker near you today at findamortgagebroker.com.
Another tough inning offensively for the Hoppers. Leadoff base hit, then a 6-4-3 double play and a strikeout. Leaves us to Brown, Hewitt, and Dwayne to lead out the bottom of the second inning. And yes, that man gave up a couple base runners, but he looked pretty sharp in that first.
Yeah, he's kind of adding that slider. It looks like that might be a possibility for Verbrugge, and we know how good his curveball has been already. If he adds that slider, and hitters are going to have to decipher as that ball's on its way to the plate which it is, a slider or a curveball. That's going to be really tough for them, and I think Verbrugge is on his way to some success if he can really get that pitch to work.
Well, I vote for Shane McCaddy to sit behind us every game, every inning, because we were able to just turn around and ask, hey, is he working on that slider?
Really
He's like, yeah, we showed him a little bit of a different grip before the game here today, because, I mean, he'd only thrown it 5% of the time or so this year, and it's fairly distinguishable for him. Curveball, like we said, more at 73-74. The slider, 79-80. That's right where he was in the first inning. Here's the first pitch to Brown. Pump back to the screen.
Not only does the velocity change make it difficult for the hitters, but getting on plane as well. Sliders typically, when thrown right, as compared to curveballs, don't have as much break, but they still have that kind of loop spin motion that you could get hitters to really swing under Sometimes they'll look like fastballs if they're tunneled properly, get them to swing over. There's a lot more you can do with your arsenal when you have a good slider.
Here's the 1-1. Curveball low. 2-1 on Brown. And we saw it in that at-bat to Nick Caruso, which ended in a strikeout swinging. I think it was first pitch slider. Went back to the fastball. And then used the curveball as the strikeout pitch. As Pup going to try for another nice play. The pick by Burke. Kind of nonchalantly for out number 1 here in the second.
Knew when that ball was hit, Elijah Brown's got a lot of speed, leads the league in steals. That was going to be a tough play for Alex Pup. I expected him to at least plant and throw, shift his momentum back over to the first base side of the diamond, but he just threw on the run, moving to third, and still was able to get enough muscle on the ball to get it over there, and a nice pick by Burke to finish it off.
So 1 up and 1 down for Verbrugge. Recorded the first 2 outs in the first before the walk and the single. Then he struck out Leaf looking. First pitch strike to Duncan Hewitt. 5, 6, 7. Leaf, Brown, Hewitt in this lineup have been trending upwards of late. There's a tough curveball. For strike 2. Threw it again. That one fades away. 1 and 2 on Hewitt now.
How about Hewitt 5 for 8 in his last 2 games with 4 RBIs and a home run, his first of the year. Wonder if he can be another one of those guys we talk about with a quick and consistent turnaround. We hope it's not just a flash in the pan. Would like to see his offense come up.
2-2 outside. Boy, it's still really bright right now. I mean, 7:33, so still early enough in the night, but I feel like at this point, usually not this bright.
Look at that flag, too. Almost out to straightaway center, left center field.
Missed that one away. So Hewitt able to draw walk number 2 of the year.
I think that might be an indication that Hewitt is on the right path to turning things around and really becoming a better hitter, consistently fighting with the Mendoza line all year. And just those last 2 games have pushed him to 225 now and 3 walks to 13 strikeouts before today, and working in a walk pretty easily there, not pressing, getting when he's gotten into a 2-strike count. I think it's really easy for guys who are struggling to hit, and then when they turn it around hitting the ball well, to press more and keep swinging at bad pitches maybe, but Hewitt staying disciplined. That's a good sign for the Mammoths.
Slider away, 2-0 on Dwayne. Runner on first base with 1 out due to the walk. 2-1 here to Buddy. Infield at double play depth. Looking to end this second inning. We saw the flip side. Mammoths ending the Hoppers' offensive inning in the last half in that very way. Fouls it straight back. 2-2. Christian Perez, the bottom of the order, is on deck.
Verbrugge gets a decent amount of ground balls. About a third of his results are ground balls, which is pretty good numbers for a starting pitcher who can be in situations like this and need a double play.
Swing and a miss, yes. Just for good measure, Hughes will apply the tag just in case the base is occupied for out number 2 here. That's strikeout number 3 for Andrew. Had 2 back in the first inning as well. Here's Christian Perez. Just 28 at-bats to this point, coming in right around the college showcase time. 5 for 28 thus far. First pitch fastball at 92 in for strike one. We saw as high as 93 in that first inning. He looked very locked in to the first couple batters. Then threw the first 2 balls to the next one, Wade Weinberger. Ended up walking him before giving him another base runner. That one Olay through the glove of Rivera. And now again, 2 runners on here in the second.
Just kind of a lax play from Yadi Rivera. We usually see him make the routine play pretty easily at third, and I think maybe just took a peek at second base. Thought about going to Hewitt or at first base to see where Perez was. Have to keep that glove in the dirt. Keep it down. They teach you that from first grade and on.
Wind gusting a bit more now to right center field. Bagneski with 1 extra base hit thus far this year as he looks at strike one. Inside, it'll advance both base runners despite that hung around the backside of Hughes.
Yeah, that took one of the best bounces from a catcher standpoint that we've seen all year, and still was in no spot for Hughes to make a throw. Runners had a good jump.
Bagneski had a really hot start and return to the USPBL. It's cooled off a bit lately. Looks at that one away. The curveball, 1-2 now. Here's the 1-2. Slider that time. Hung over just enough for Bagneski to get a piece of it. Boy, you get that ball up in the air. You pray as a defense and a pitcher it doesn't go anywhere but the warning track.
I mean, this wind is consistently out to center.
Swing and a miss. Big time pitch by Verbrugge to strand 2 in scoring position. He's already struck out 4. The heater. The difference here in the second.
Why are all these business owners smiling? Because they rely on Tryon to handle difficult and time-consuming HR tasks like payroll, benefits administration, and more. Working with one of the nation's top professional employer organizations provides access to top-tier healthcare and employee benefit plans and Tryon's team of attorneys and HR experts. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
We joined Green Path and instantly felt a support around us.
They developed a plan on paper, and this is how we're going to do it.
The plan that they gave me was something that was sustainable. It was something I could do. It was actually lowering my payments monthly by hundreds of dollars.
Choosing Green Path is a no-brainer.
Well, there's a good look at it. Blowing out to right center field. There are some storms in the mix, I think, for later tonight, so this might be a consistent thing throughout the day. We talked about it yesterday. It did definitely die down, but it continued at least through the 5th or the 6th.
Yeah, we had a good few innings of wind, and yesterday's was like today's where it was consistent, no breaks in it. It's not gusty. It's just straight out into the outfield. We haven't seen a hard hit ball yet. We haven't seen someone square one up and turn on it. When we do, these outfielders better be ready. They might have to move quick to make a play.
They're deep for the most part here against a good hitter in Noah Marcoux. 4 hits in his last game. First pitch to Marcoux is in for strike 1. He's gotten that average up to 235. Striking out a bit less as well. 0-1 from Ledbetter is low. 35 pitches for Colin through 2. 40 for Verbrugge, so that's something to watch closely with the situation that the Hoppers bullpen is in, obviously. 1-1, tomahawk to right. That one isn't going to carry, though. That's a good look at what the sun is like. And the outfield as well for Leaf.
Not easy. Better have some polarized lenses if you're playing in right.
There's Juan Lopez Rios now. Hitting at the bottom of the lineup once again here today for Ryan Kotke and John Dombrowski's team.
Despite hitting at the bottom, you know, most people would expect 9-hole hitter not to be your best. Lopez Rios, though, 230 through 15 games. I've been impressed by him. I think he's one of those guys that people can easily forget about. But he consistently puts the bat on the ball.
It kind of had an unfortunate end to his season. Played a really good first month of his professional career. Hit 300. Played a solid middle infield, but then broke his hand or something similar. Not sure the exact injury, but kept him out for most of the remainder of the year. There's a good snappy slider for strike 3. The 4th K for Ledbetter now. What a big strikeout that was as well for Verbrugge at the end of the last half inning. 2 runners in scoring position. The first time we've seen that for either team so far here today. Elevated the fastball, which hasn't done a whole lot either, but got a big whiff and a miss. Pup looks at a ball high, 91-mile-an-hour fastball there from Ledbetter. Colin is yet to give up an extra base hit this year. ERA, a sliver, .90. Through 12 games, 8 walks to 29 strikeouts, so that's the equivalent of 13 per 9. Working quickly here, the 1-1. Pup kind of reaches out for it, hanging up there. And Brown will drift back, and that's a real nice breeze of an inning for Colin Ledbetter. Survives the win, strikes out a batter, and pops out the final batter here in the 3rd. That's your 5th third bank, 5th third out. Here of the 3rd inning of work. Now time for JJ the Water Boy, presented by Michigan First Credit Union here today. Your base pass umpire soaked in sun for the first 3 innings. JJ gets that treat. He was kind of moving a little slower yesterday, it seemed, but
understandably. You know, he's a hard-working dog, and it was a hot day. Today is no different. He still gets the job done, though. He'll still grab the bats. He'll still find our sweetheart of the game and deliver the water.
Here's your DTE Energy Kid Race, the mascot here today. It'll be Wooly going against your kid here today. Looks like his team is the Hartford, I'm sure it's not the Hartford Yard Goats, but wherever he plays is the Yard Goats, one of the cooler mascots. He's around second base easily. Here he comes cruising to 3rd in those shades, huh? Number 49 going to cruise his way home, serenaded by the applause as well.
Yeah, those are some good-looking shades.
Woolley isn't going to even make it around to score here. Andrew Verbrugge back for his third inning of work. In that second, a couple more base runners, a walk and then error allowed in the end. Second and third, after the ball that escaped Whit Hughes bounced right back to him but didn't have a chance to throw. Nonetheless, Connor Bagneski was the top of the order and was due up next in that scenario. Decent battle, fought off some tough pitches, but struck out on a 1-2 in the end. His fourth K here tonight. It'll be Caruso, Weinberger, and Parker.
And both Ledbetter and Verbrugge not as efficient as they probably would have liked to be in the first two innings, both 35 pitches plus at the start of the third. And we saw Ledbetter just have a quick breeze, 1-2-3 inning. Very few pitches. Verbrugge's going to try to do the same. And we talked about how important that is for him in the hoppers. He needs to have a few 1 or 2 pitch at-bats, maybe 3, get some quick outs and extend his arm to the later stages.
Rivera with a nice charge, fires to first, 1 up and 1 down here in the third. Verbrugge has retired the leadoff batter in every inning thus far. It's been the damage kind of done with 1 and 2 outs. It's led to a few rallies. Now Wade Weinberger Jr., who walked in a 3-2 pitch back in the first. Wipeout curveball.
I think that was the pitch Weinberger walked on, too, his first time up. And Verbrugge with some confidence to still go back at it to start this at-bat.
Boy, that one different. That's the curveball as well, but the first one almost looked like a slurve where it started as a curveball
kind of
and then slid right in.
Curve.
Yeah.
It had a lot of horizontal movement, too, which those are the most annoying ones as a hitter. You don't understand why you can't just have a regular 12-6 straight curve. Why do I have to track 2 levels of motion? Just don't be so good at your job.
Popped it up. A lot of room. Rivera had a good beat on it as Taylor Jelekowski scoots out of the way for out number 2. Rivera busy today. Fully recovering from that ball that went through his legs that extended the second inning. Here's the fans on the lawn here today. Good spot to be in a fireworks Friday. What is always a very large crowd. First pitch to Houston Parker outside, 1-2. Now the 1-0, line drive over the head of Pup. Another 2-out base runner here in the third.
Well struck ball by Houston Parker. He's one of the best in the league. Squaring up, seeing the pitch out of the batter's hand. Has a lot of barrels this year. Really good average exit velocity.
Here's Brian Leaf now, struck out looking back in the first. First pitch curveball tails away, 0-1. Third inning today brought to you by Chevrolet. We thank Chevrolet for their partnership with the USPBL this year. Now the 0-1. Another curveball, a little bit harder, in for strike 2. It's been a heavy dose of breaking balls to Brian Leaf thus far, and he's flustered after that one as you see him step out of the box.
That's something Leaf has struggled with, chasing those breaking balls. A lot of strikeouts in his past few games.
Freezes him with the fastball, but it's below the arms. I mean, that's the differential of 73, 75, all the way zipping up to 92.
And that's exactly what it's supposed to do, is freeze guys. They don't expect it to be in the zone. They don't really know what to do when it gets in on them that fast. And as a hitter, you're just praying that that thing doesn't find its spot in the strike zone.
Cue ball foul. So Leaf is still alive. The first 2 outs of this inning recorded off the bats of Caruso and Weinberger. Verbrugge has already struck out 4, 2 in the first 2 innings each. Now the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Fastball at 91. That's now strikeout number 5 for Verbrugge. Brendan Shabath will take over play-by-play duties when we get back on the USPBL network.
There are many things you can rely on in this world, like a sunny day brightening your mood, your mom baking the world's best apple pie, and never a dull moment in running your business. And when it comes to time-consuming HR tasks, you can rely on Tryon. Tryon can handle payroll and taxes, employee benefits, and more, so you can stay focused on attracting and retaining the best talent. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
We joined Green Path and instantly felt a support around us.
They developed a plan on paper, and this is how we're going to do it.
The plan that they gave me was something that was sustainable. It was something I could do. It was actually lowering my payments monthly by hundreds of dollars.
Choosing Green Path is a no-brainer.
Great seats at a great price. Get them safer, simpler, and smarter with Ticket Smarter. A proud partner to the biggest names in live sports and events, including ESPN events and iHeartRadio. Ticket Smarter has seats for over 125,000 live events and 48 million tickets for sale. All backed with the Ticket Smarter 100% ticket guarantee. Thinking about your next great live event? Think smarter. Think Ticket Smarter. Get your tickets your way, guaranteed at Ticketsmarter.com.
Back at the ballpark here in downtown Utica, still scoreless game between the Mammoths and the Hoppers. It's been an entertaining pitching duel. 4 strikeouts for Colin Ledbetter, 5 for Andrew Verbrugge. The Hoppers have just 1 hit, the Mammoths just 2. Both guys have done a fantastic job filling up the strike zone, stranding runners. Had a couple twin killings to halt any possible rallies on both sides. Ledbetter continuing where he left off as one of the best first pitch strike throwers in the league. Gets so many guys fooled with that slider. A lot of them really expect it to land below the zone, and instead it's in the heart. For a called strike, it's Blake Porter. Reached on a fielder's choice in the first inning. He looks at ball 1. Porter, and then behind him, Rivera and Burke. Slider in the dirt, 2-0. Porter, hard hit, right field, going back, looking up, and he's untied this ball game over the Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union soundstage. The 3rd of the year for Blake Porter. And the Hoppers strike first blood.
Well, and his first extra base hit as well given up here today on the season. That was one of those balls I mean, it might have gotten out anyway. Maybe not that far on a normal day, but how high it was, it's one of those ones you like to watch out.
How high and how hard hit. You knew that was probably gone off the bat from Porter. Useful power, doesn't have a lot of it, but every so often, like we mentioned, that's just his third of the year, can be pretty key for the Hoppers. See if that can jumpstart this offense as Yadi Rivera swings through his first strike. Now the 1-1. Bottom of the zone for strike 2. That's the first extra base hit, like Jeremy mentioned, for Ledbetter all season. Has been so good when giving up contact. It's all been pretty soft. Bottom of the zone misses. Caruso really wanted that call, not going to get it.
So did Ledbetter. He was in his full walk around the mound strikeout mode.
So now the 2-2. Slider fought off.
And so far, I think this is a pretty good response here by Ledbetter. Obviously, the result of this at-bat isn't over, but bringing his best stuff right back to it, trying to bounce right back around. Obviously, a tight game, still at 1-0, and his team needs him to have some length here today.
2-2 again. This time fastball blew it by him at 90 for a swing and a miss, strike 3. Rivera goes down on strikes for the second time today, brings up Burke. He also struck out his first time up.
Talked about the strikeout rates for Colin Ledbetter. They're only going to go up at this point with the walk rate going down as well. 4 walks per 9. So I'd like to get that at least to 3, maybe to 2. I think he's definitely capable of doing with that with the strike thrower that he can be. You talked about it in the pregame show. His 7 Ks in a row earlier this year. That was a lot of fun to watch.
That first slider in on the hands misses for ball 1 to Burke. 13 strikeouts per 9 innings in 20 innings of work this year for Colin. Behind 2-0 to a good hitter. Ledbetter might be a guy that Burke perhaps favors over some others. We've talked about his frustrations with the changeup. Ledbetter has one as Burke skies this one high into the air, and Brown will make the grab in foul territory. And you can see Burke just visibly frustrated.
And to be honest, on a normal day, that ball might go in the stands. I mean, you saw how much it zigzagged as Caruso thought he had a good opportunity to catch it, and then all of a sudden it was Brown coming in more towards the first base line.
And the wind perhaps keeping it in play
before
it can reach the grandstands. Here's Kreitzer. He's 1 for 1, singled to right center field. Played directly into the shift, but placed it perfectly in the gap for a single. The shift is on again. Perez in shallow right field. That's Leaf way back there, just a step or 2 in front of the warning track. He'll be ready for anything on this 2-0 count to a good hitter. Pounded into the ground foul. Interesting thing about this shift to me, the pull and the straight numbers for Kreitzer off the bat are pretty close. He looks at strike 2. We know he's not going to go to the opposite field too often, but it's a very pull-heavy shift for a guy who will go right up the middle a few times.
We saw him beat it as well, kind of between Leaf and Bagneski, just in the perfect spot. Not necessarily beating the shift. I mean, in a way, I guess, but not your prototypical way that you'd think. Right now, you'd think him going just the opposite way.
3-2, and this one is a little flare up the middle. Right on cue, Nick Kreitzer. Left of the second base bag, technically the opposite way. Another shift beater. He's 2 for 2. Both soft contact. But he doesn't care about that. That ball was in play.
The Hoppers will take base runners right now. They got to be smiling after that leadoff home run here in the 4th inning just to get off that snide. I mean, we've seen it already in a couple innings. 2 base runners in the first, nothing. 2 in the second, 1 being a leadoff. 6-4-3 double play.
There's Bryant Schellenbarger, a home run yesterday for him. Hits this one hard. A high hop, but a jump from Brown. He'll step on the bag. A nice play and a little smile after that one. Knows he robbed a hit from Schellenbarger. Hoppers take a lead, though, in the 4th. We'll see what the Mammoths can do to respond in the bottom half when we return.
Why are all these business owners smiling? Because they rely on Tryon to handle difficult and time-consuming HR tasks like payroll, benefits administration, and more. Working with one of the nation's top professional employer organizations provides access to top-tier healthcare and employee benefit plans and Tryon's team of attorneys and HR experts. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
Throughout your life, from big moments to ones well-earned, we're your financial guardian angel. Alliance Catholic Credit Union.
Welcome back to Jimmy John's Field. The Hoppers now a 1-run lead with the solo shot from Blake Porter. His 3rd home run of the year. We'll see what the Mammoths can do in response. Elijah Brown made that nice play to rob Schellenbarger of a hit to end the inning. He'll lead things off, followed by Duncan Hewitt and Buddy Dwayne Jr. Bottom of the 4th. First pitch in for a strike. Brown has turned it on lately. 3 home runs in his last 10 games. Had a grand slam in the non-public game against these Hoppers on Tuesday in what was a very high-scoring affair.
And you see still choking up on that bat, but maybe just not as much the last couple weeks.
When in on the feet, he dances out of the way. 11 runs in the first inning altogether between these two teams on Tuesday, including the Brown grand slam.
Manager's nightmare on one front, but also a happy time.
Yeah. Probably not happy time for Shane McCaddy and Mitch Aker. They love the days like today, pitching duels, low-scoring affairs. Shows that they're doing their job well. 3-1 on Brown. Way outside, Verbrugge can't come up with it. A 5-pitch walk. And a dangerous hitter and a dangerous runner as well gets on. Brown leads the league stolen bases this year. 11 for 11 right now. Is also the only player in the league with multiple triples at a place that is not easy to get them.
We'll see if the Mammoths try to force the issue here. There's not a lot of called steals or called anything at this level, but it's a decent lead for Brown. Kind of leaning that direction. Let's see.
It's a nice move from Verbrugge back over to first. Brown is safe. I'd be willing to bet he's going to make a move here to second, try to respond. Hewitt walked his first time up, another move back to first, and Brown is still safe. After that walk, Hewitt was able to get all the way over to third on an error and a wild pitch. Was stranded there, though. And there goes Brown on the first pitch. Throw down from Hughes, a little up towards the first base side, and now Brown, as it gets into center, will coast into third head first. A stolen base, and Brown advances to third on the throwing error from Hughes. And immediately that walk turns into a triple as he's over there 90 feet away from home.
Not the greatest of pitch to throw on. A lot of tail on that fastball in the inner half, kind of having to fight through Hewitt. Not because of anything he did wrong, just where the pitch landed, where he had to go for it, and then not able to get it in the hands of the middle infielder.
Pitch was in for a strike, and Hewitt skies this one to left. Here's going to be the throw from Marcoux as Brown tags. It's cut off by Yachty, and just like that, 2 batters into the bottom of the fourth. The Mammoths have tied this game at 1.
Well, you talked about it. Speed kills. Here to begin the fourth inning, they were aggressive. Elijah Brown was aggressive, had a good read, popped right back up and ran to third base fairly easily and run that ball well as well. He knew he wanted to tag up, even though it was kind of medium depth, to Marcoux in left field.
5th RBI in 10 at-bats in the last 3 games for Duncan Hewitt. Dwayne takes a first pitch strike. The 0-1. Curveball, missed it up and away.
Will another one of your home run derby participants find that wind? Dwayne was one of those guys.
Trouble for him, it's pushing out the opposite way right now. But for Dwayne, he actually goes the opposite way more than he doesn't. Almost half of his batted balls have gone the opposite direction this year. The 2-1 curveball, no, under the zone. Which is interesting because his 2 home runs, 1 to center and 1 to left. 3-1, outside corner, strike 2. Both outfield and infield straight up, the wind blowing directly out to center now. Payoff pitch, missed it. Second walk of the inning, 4th of the game for Verbrugge. Another guy with speed. We saw Brown steal second and then reach to third on the throw from Hughes that went into center. And Dwayne, no easy runner either. Can't forget about him if you're Verbrugge. First pitch to Christian Perez, fouled off. Perez reached on an error in the second. That's his only at bat today. 11 games played before today. 179 average. Doesn't quite have 30 at bats. That threshold that we kind of think of before we really start judging players for how they have fared in the USPBL. Little slippery bat, get some tar on it, some sticky stuff. Is ready for the 0-1. Dwayne with a moderate lead at first. Perez hits the curveball to the gap in left. Porter ranges over, slides, and makes a nice grab. Is just a hole that swallows everything up out there in center field, and his name is Blake Porter.
That's not an easy play. I mean, we talked about something very similar yesterday, and I think maybe the exact same spot. You have to have a great jump, you have to have good speed, and you got to take a good route to the baseball, and everything check, 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 check. There for Blake Porter from center to left center in that scenario.
And we've seen Porter make diving and sliding catches before, but I think the impressive thing about that one is that it was awkward. He kind of slid as and a little bit after he caught the ball. Dwayne goes on the first pitch, and that one scoots into center. Dwayne will stay at second. Yes, he will. Thought about going to third, did not. The pitch into Bagneski was in the dirt for a ball. But that was the impressive thing for Porter. That's kind of an awkward play, and I think we've seen some fielders, some outfielders maybe change their mind, second-guess themselves, and give up a base hit when they do that. But Porter committed to it, made the slide, and made the grab. Bagneski high, hop to second base. Juan Lopez Rios flips to first for out number 3. So both teams get one in the fourth. Shades of yesterday's game between the Hoppers and the Unicorns. We'll see if the fifth is anything like last night's on the US PBL Network.
As your neighbor who works at Ascension, Michigan, and a cardiologist who's practiced for more than 20 years, I'm going to keep asking, how are you feeling today? Your care can't wait. Getting care sooner can mean catching things before they get worse. At Ascension, Michigan, our ERs and our hospitals and other sites of care are maintaining strict precautions for your safety. Studies have shown that people will get care sooner if they're encouraged by their doctors, family, and friends. Get the care you need at getascensionmichigancare.com.
Great seats at a great price. Get them safer, simpler, and smarter with TicketSmarter. A proud partner to the biggest names in live sports and events, including ESPN events and iHeartRadio. TicketSmarter has seats for over 125,000 live events and 48 million tickets for sale. All backed with the TicketSmarter 100% ticket guarantee. Thinking about your next great live event? Think smarter. Think TicketSmarter. Get your tickets your way, guaranteed, at TicketSmarter.com.
A run for each team in the fourth. Colin Ledbetter for the Mammoths stays out there. He started the game for them today, so he'll face Hughes Marcoux and Juan Lopez Rios in the fifth. Ledbetter went 4 complete in a 6-inning game 2 of a doubleheader in his first start this year. We'll see how many innings he goes in this one. Both Ledbetter and Verbrugge have been very sharp in today's game. Ledbetter has yet to give up a free pass and has 5 strikeouts to go along with it. Only 3 total hits. Obviously the one mistake pitch, a slider to Blake Porter that he pounced on and took over the sound stage in right field. But other than that, it's been a very clean game for Ledbetter.
It has, and sometimes in these games, just that one mistake is what bites you. But good on the other side, maybe to see the game leveled. Where does it go from here?
Seems to perhaps be the vice of a low-scoring game, and from a pitcher standpoint, yeah, you want that. You don't want to give up many runs, but that's the issue with it, is that one pitch can change it. Luckily for Ledbetter, his offense picked him up in response. Brown came around to score after some good base running aggression. Hughes on the ground to third. It scoots foul. We talked earlier in today's game and yesterday, the Hoppers' inability to move runners around. They start innings well and then get those runners stranded. Hughes was a victim of that in the second after a leadoff single from Kreitzer. A strikeout from Schellenberger. Hughes grounded into an inning-ending 6-4-3 double play. This time it's an inning-starting swing and a miss. Strikeout number 6 for Ledbetter.
Absolutely wipeout slider there from Colin as well. What can you do with that? If you're Whit Hughes, the way you want to start things after the leadoff home run in the fourth.
Here's a guy who's turned it around a little bit lately. Up to a 240 batting average, too. Here's Noah Marcoux. Hit on the ground, but into the shift. Perez is there in shallow right. The Mammoth defense looking at the analytics a little bit more, and Marcoux grounds into an easy 4-3 second out.
Yeah, we saw this, I think it was from the Unicorns possibly earlier in the year as well that were shifting. Maybe it was the Mammoths, but we'll see how much that plays out as the year goes on, as wins start to become maybe a little bit more important. Standings coming to a close.
Lopez Rios looks at the slider inside.
Certainly a nice way to get your pitch count back in order here if you're Ledbetter. 3-pitch strikeout and then a first pitch ground out.
Quick inning in the third, quick inning in the fifth for Ledbetter. That one's fouled off by Lopez Rios. 66 pitches for Ledbetter right now. By far the most he's thrown in a game this year. All of his appearances before the most recent one in relief. 1-1 on the ground to second. Little dead hop. Perez will have to charge and fire, and a 1-2-3 inning. Brown thought he might have been safe for a second. Waited for the call. Said Lopez Rios was out. 3 up, 3 down. The Mammoths batting in the fifth when we return.
Dunham Sports is a proud partner of the USPBL. Big names, low prices, delivering value since 1937.
At Fifth Third Bank, we're working hard to make banking a Fifth Third better, which means we put 166.7% into everything we do.
I think you can only give 110%.
Well, with free checking, fraud protection services, and an automatic savings tool to help you quickly reach your goals, 166.7% is possible.
Oh, wait till my 8th graders hear about this. They're gonna be like, it's not possible. Well, yes it is.
This is banking, a Fifth Third better.
Some fans enjoying our Chevy Pavilion in left field. A good spot to take in today's game. You're kind of in the wind tunnel over there. Stay in the shade, too. The shadows have almost completely covered this field. Unfortunately, if you're Blake Porter or Bryant Schellenbarger out there in center and right, still need the shades, but everybody else has them sitting on the brims of their caps. Andrew Verbrugge will work on his 5th inning in this start. Gave up the run to Elijah Brown last inning on the sac fly from Duncan Hewitt. That's really all there has been. 2 total hits for the Mammoths. It just has not been an offensive day for either squad. Here's Nick Caruso. He'll be followed by Weinberger and Parker here in the 5th. First pitch curveball bounces into the dirt. Good snag by Hughes, but ball 1. Hard hit into the gap in left. This is going to get down, reach to the wall. Hits above the yellow. Caruso trying to stretch it for 2. The throw in is late. And a leadoff double for Nick Caruso and the Mammoths.
Yeah, a real similar spot to the ball we saw hit by Perez. Perez's ball maybe just hanging up a little bit more. That one tattooed to the left center field gap. And Caruso starts it off the right way here in the 5th, trying to get some insurance. Or not some insurance, a lead for Colin Ledbetter at this point here in the 5th.
Been really impressed with Caruso's turnaround lately, and Take it with a grain of salt, and it's kind of a complicated stat, but his expected batting average is 50 points higher than his current batting average right now. He's just been so unlucky, like we talked about this year. Fly balls into the outfield, one of the better hard hitters in the league. Now here's Weinberger. Walking a pop out today. Verbrugge thought about looking back to Caruso, but nobody was there. It's Lopez Rios at second and Pup at short. Caruso with a slim lead. Now the 0-1. Curveball had Weinberger way off balance. You can see he started that swing well before he actually wanted to go through with it.
I've seen that a couple times because it was his at bat in the third. My goodness.
And on the feet, ball one.
Spit it out, Jeremy.
You said it, not me. Wind gradually dying down. It's not as strong right now as it has been in the past couple innings. The only benefactor of it, Blake Porter, the deep shot in the fourth. Verbrugge steps off. We'll retry on the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Andrew Verbrugge. Another good curveball and another good strikeout. That's how you want to follow up a leadoff double.
Houston Parker's been hot today as well. Sure, they would have loved to get the first couple runners on and see what he could do.
He's 2 for 2, and he's been one of the best in the league at bringing runners home. 17 ribbies for that man. The wide open stance in the right hand side fouls it off. 2 singles, a ground ball single through the infield to short, and then a liner to left in the third inning. Swing and a miss. Off balance on the curveball behind 0-2. Boy, if you're Verbrugge, what reasoning do you have for throwing any pitch other than a curveball right now? I think these guys are sitting on it and still just can't quite catch up to it, locate it, not getting on plane. Another hitter behind 0-2. Curveball again, this one chopped on the ground. Nice stretch by Pup. Long throw, Parker beats it.
Pup has done a really nice job cutting off balls today. That's his third play in kind of similar fashion. He's only been able to make one here today. The first one he bounced in the dirt. Burke not able to pick it. Burke picked it the second time around, but good job to at least keep it in the infield.
Caruso held on the play, so it's first and second for Leaf.
Yeah, definitely the difference there between Nick and having a good chance at going to third or having to put that in his head, whether he should go or not.
Leaf 0 for 2. First pitch, fastball fouled. 1 run on 3 hits and an error for the Hoppers. 1 run on 4 hits, no errors for the Mammoths.
Leaf is one guy that you can tell the curveball has taken advantage of him a bit here tonight. We'll see how he responds and at bat number 3.
0-1 to a fastball. Check the swing on the curveball. They say he did not go. Nice job to lay off of it. And that's a really nice job with, you think about it, just how long that curveball stays in the zone, it looks like. It looks like it's in range for a lot of these hitters for a very long time, and that one ended up in the dirt. 1-1. Another fastball. Leaf still a little behind. 1-2, trying to untie this game. 1-1. Both teams scored a run in the fourth.
Verbrugge's velocity here today has been pretty consistent. I mean, he came out firing in the first inning. We saw a 93 or 2, 92 several times in the middle, but still has 91, fairly deep in this pitch count here in the fifth.
1-2 with 1 out. That one might have been, had slider-like movement. I think that was the curveball, though, still at 75.
Yeah, it's a little hard to tell. Almost 76 as well. The slider's been more 79, 80, and he's still throwing it sparingly, but we saw it be effective in the first couple innings. We talked to Shane about that, kind of working on it before the game, trying on a new grip.
That one's fastball, tried to dot it, is going to miss and fill up the count to Leaf.
It's funny to see guys tamper with grips. You hear it a lot with the changeup. I think we talked about it a little bit on yesterday's broadcast, but sometimes it's just that green light moment. When they find the right grip, it all clicks.
Caruso, the runner on second. Leadoff double for him. Parker, an infield single. He's over at first. 3-2, fly ball left field. And again, a bat flip for Brian Leaf with a no-doubter. Third home run of the year.
Oh, Brendan, that's a different sound. We talked about in the pregame show. A big thud off the bat of that righty. And he pulled it to one of the deeper parts of the ballpark that you just don't see a ball hit. Even the fans, you can see them there on the berm of the Chevrolet Pavilion. They're looking to see where it even went. There's a good gap in between. I mean, it looks like all forest from here, but there's some batting cages and a building down there that kind of ramps down. So it could have rolled into the Clinton River, kind of borders it there in left center.
I think there's a good chance that ball is no longer available for a human to reach.
Somebody kayaking maybe, you know.
Boy, Brian Leaf. Third home run, and I believe 4 games, the last 4 games for the Mammoths. Check that, the last 5. Brown, we mentioned him, 3 home runs in the last 10. 0 for 1, reached on a walk and scored the first run for the Mammoths. Hard hit to right field. Schellenbarger almost right to him, just a few steps to his right for out number 2. And again, Brian Leaf, we talked about it earlier, but right off the bat, you knew it. You just absolutely knew it.
And they're not necessarily moonshots. I mean, they are in terms of height for how on a line they go out, if that makes any sense. I mean, how quickly they get out.
His first one, I don't think you would characterize as a high fly ball. That one was kind of a low liner that got out quickly. Sounds like his non-public one was pretty high, and that one obviously. You think about how far that one went, too. If the wind right now, if the wind was as it is right now, which is blowing into right field and right center, that's against the wind. He put that ball way out there.
We've talked about it before, how big and important consistent at-bats in this sport can be. And, I mean, we've mentioned it quite a bit. Leaf not getting that everyday opportunity to get in the lineup. A lot can happen in a positive direction when you get in there.
Hewitt skies this one to right. Schellenbarger will put it in his glove. Back-to-back flyouts to right field to end the inning, but a deep shot again from Brian Leaf. He's starting to heat up. A 3-run blast gives the Mammoths the lead. They've got 4. The Hoppers 1. Jeremy Otto takes over in the 6th on the USPBL network.
You dreamed of starting a company, not an HR department, but your business has grown fast, and so have the complexities of payroll and taxes, benefits administration, and other HR functions. That's why your business needs a professional employer organization like Tryon Solutions. Tryon provides businesses of all sizes access to top-tier healthcare and employee benefit plans. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
What makes Detroit Mercy so unique is the fact that it's in the middle of Detroit, and especially with their service learning programs, you really get a chance to be a part of the community.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
Colin Ledbetter on the mound here in the 6th inning. Alex Pup, Blake Porter, and Yadi Rivera to bat here in the 6th inning. Top of the order here today for this Hoppers team.
I think today's game, maybe not quite like yesterday's, but very similar in the fact that 1 run scored for each team in the 4th, and then not the Hoppers put up multiple runs in the 5th. Yesterday was the Unicorns, today the Mammoths. I don't know if we kind of thought – I don't think I had the same expectations in this game that I did yesterday where, okay, one of these offenses is going to break through at some point. But we knew it was a possibility. I just thought with how good both Verbrugge and Ledbetter have been, that wasn't going to happen. But third time through the order has been so difficult for starting pitchers. That 5th inning and beyond has been such a tough stretch.
Line drive to left, look out. Good job by Weinberger to get over quickly. Pup takes a wide turn, maybe not realizing how quickly that Wade got to that baseball. But a leadoff hit here in the 6th inning as the Diamond Hoppers now desperate for some runs all of a sudden.
Well, you always want your leadoff guy, whether it's the number 1 guy in the order or the number 5 guy in the order, to get on and start a rally. That makes the guy behind him a lot more comfortable, maybe a little bit more amped up to try to do some damage.
Fastball at 90 by Blake Porter here. 6th inning brought to you by Jimmy John's. We thank Jimmy John's for their sponsorship of the USPBL network this year. Now the 0-1. Fastball chopped on the ground to Perez, deep in his hole. Feeds to first base. Not much he can do about Pup as he advances to second. Well, when it's time for baseball, it's time for beer. Two Hearted Ale has been named the #1 beer in America for the past 4 years by members of the American Homebrewers Association. Play ball with the best. Two Hearted Ale, the iconic American IPA from Bell's Brewery, Comstock, Michigan. Please drink responsibly.
I think that last one to Perez just had such an awkward bounce off the bat that it kind of looked like it was coming right to him. One of those really weird ones you don't know how to adjust. He probably has a chance at the double play if he could pick up a little bit earlier that ball is going to land short and he could play it on the hop.
Now the 0-1, fly ball to center, into the wind. Bagneski twirling around, edge of the warning track. Kind of has to reach up and make that catch as Pup advances to third base. It's not fun playing center field right now.
That can't be easy. Luckily for Bagneski, the sun is gone. He no longer has to wear those shades that you see on top of his brim.
Here's Joe Burke now 0 for 2. He was flustered after his pop out that in the end got caught by Elijah Brown. Caruso, I think, was determined to catch the baseball. He thought it was around the on-deck circle to his right, but then it gusted its way more towards the first base line, and Brown came over to make the play. Could have, who knows, but it could have ended up in the stands in foul territory, but instead squeezed for out number 1 of that inning.
And you hate to see a guy like Burke as frustrated as he's been lately. We know how good of a hitter he is. Really fun to watch when he has it going. And just in one of those slumps right now. It's the ebb and flow of the game.
1-1 on Burke. Also had a strikeout in the first. Kreitzer to follow. He's played at a couple singles thus far. They've shifted twice on him as well. Now the 1-1. Zinged in, look out. Pup advancing home, and he will score. Catchers have had a tough time here today. And all of a sudden, it's a 4-2 game.
Well, Jeremy, remind me if you've heard this before. A runner scoring on a wild pitch. Seen that happen a few times this year. Happens again, and can't knock it if you're the Hoppers. You want to get across any way you can.
See some action in that Mammoths pen. I believe that's Richley throwing now. One of the guys that they prefer to use here today. 2-1. Change-up away. 3-1 on Burke. I think that was the change.
I don't know. Close pitch.
Maybe the slider had a lot more spin on it. Here's the 3-1. Broke his bat on the glove of Parker. Feeds over to first for the third out. A run does come around to score. The leadoff single after a ground out, a fly out, and a ground out to end the inning as well.
Every summer, my family loves to have a neighborhood movie night in our backyard. And with my Chevy Blazer, I can head out and get everything we need for a great night. It has plenty of room for picking up friends, and the available hands-free liftgate is perfect for loading unhandy supplies. You know, it may be movie night, but my Blazer is the main attraction wherever I go.
Lease a 2022 Blazer 2LT for just $239 a month for 24 months. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Check your checking. If your account doesn't get you pumped, amped, or geeked, make the switch to Genius Checking from Genesis Credit Union. It's just genius.
Harry Orth takes over on the mound here in the 6th inning of a 4-2 game in favor of the Mammoths. Buddy Dwayne, Christian Perez, Connor Bagneski to bat here. So Verbrugge goes 5 here today. Give up 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 4 walks to 6 strikeouts. The big inning to kind of separate this game was the 5th. Huge 3-run shot by Brian Leaf to left center field.
I think a positive for Verbrugge in today's start is that 6 strikeouts to 4 walks is not a number you really want to see. The 6 strikeouts were good, and he had that curveball working, but you would certainly like to get that number down for walks. But the thing about the walks is he was able to respond well. Only one of them came around to bite him, and that was Brown in the 4th. And he was able to get to third base after stealing second in a wild throw and then come home on a sac fly. He kind of scored on his own doing there.
First pitch from Orth. Off the plate outside to Buddy Dwayne. Orth, 4-seam fastball, splitter curveball in that order. Heavy fastball, but does like to mix in that splitter quite a bit. Through 7 appearances thus far. Burke ranging, got it! Fades into his glove down the right field line, right next to JJ's doghouse. And Joe Burke quickly puts out number 1 on the board for Orth.
Never easy. Track foul balls in this wide open foul territory down both sides.
So Harry Orth out of Wisconsin Oshkosh. It's a Division III over in Wisconsin. 6'4", 230. Kenosha, Wisconsin, his hometown. That splitter is something he's had in his arsenal since his junior year of high school. One of his friends was kind of messing around with it. He tried it. And then just because his hands are bigger, it was a pitch that kind of came naturally to him. It's something you hear. The bigger hands, the better for a pitch like that. Pup charging. Boy, he's had a lot of opportunities here tonight. There's out number 2.
Well, if you just hold a baseball and try to hold it like a splitter, you're supposed to hold it between your middle finger and your index finger. So if you're a right-handed pitcher, it'd be on the right side of your index finger and the left side of your middle finger. And that's where you hold the baseball, and you just throw it like a fastball. And you have to have big hands to do that just by thinking about it. But if you actually do try to do it, if your hands aren't big enough, it hurts those 2 fingers. That's why we do see some injuries that come along with the splitter for some guys who maybe don't have the proper mechanics otherwise.
On the ground, 8 up, Burke into right field. So Bagneski able to reach And snap his 0 for 3 day here tonight.
But yeah, that splitter can really be an effective pitch, one of the hardest ones to hit. It's a strange pitch because for a lot of hitters, you can identify it out of the hand pretty quickly. You see it's off speed. You know that guy has a splitter, but it just stays straight. And for some reason, that sinking action of it so late on its trip to the zone is really hard to square up.
So Richley continues to warm here for the Mammoths. Nearly 80 pitches for Ledbetter, so he very might be done in this game. Kind of a quiet run-scoring inning here in the top half. Leadoff single, then advanced around. Strike one delivered to Nick Caruso. Line drive to that same spot. That's been a sweet spot of late here. And Caruso reaches.
Well, he's just so good about textbook hitting. Hitting into the gaps, opposite or pull side, doesn't matter. You try to hit a liner over the shortstop or the second baseman's head, somewhere the outfielders can't get to it. You look at it in batting practice, Caruso's not going to wow you with his power. He'll hit a couple home runs in BP, but what will impress you is the line drives, how hard they are, as compared to live game. Obviously, that's the point of batting practice, but his line drives anywhere in the middle of the infield for singles.
Pass the glove of Hughes as Bagneski advances to third and Caruso to second. Wade Weinberger today, walk back in the first, pop out and a strikeout. One of 5 strikeouts here tonight for Verbrugge. Now the 0-1. Line drive to right, going to cash in a run, maybe 2. They're going to hold Caruso at third there with Schellenbarger fairly shallow and right.
Smart decision. Not only is Schellenbarger shallow, he's got a good arm, and if you stayed to watch that throw after the fact, despite Caruso holding, that throw got in pretty quickly. That would have been a tough play at the plate for Nick to score on.
So Houston Parker trying to continue his great day, 3 for 3. Scored a run back in the